For my discussion, I picked Martin Luther King Jr.'s I Have a Dream speech, John F. Kennedy's inaugural speech, and Ronald Reagan's Challenger disaster speech. I think all three speakers do a really good job of connecting with the people they're talking to. For example, in Martin Luther King Jr.'s speech, he's speaking to people who want equality and civil rights, but he also tries to reach every American by talking about freedom and the value the country was built on. But on the other hand, Kennedy's speech is more about getting Americans to work together and take responsibility for the future for the country. And Reagan's speech is different because he's talking about the after of the Challenger disaster. So his main goal is to comfort the nation and honor the astronauts instead of getting a message across. I also thought all three speeches were easy to follow. Each one had a clear beginning, a middle, and end. Um, King starts by explaining that people still aren't truly free, then shares his vision for the future, and finishes with a hopeful message. Kennedy starts by talking about the importance of the moment and ends with his famous challenge for Americans to serve their country. And similarly, Reagan starts by acknowledging the tragedy and ends by remembering the astronauts in a really, really respectful way, deserving way. One thing that stood out to me was the language each speaker uses. King repeats, I have a dream, which makes the speech really powerful and easy to remember and still talked about to this day. Probably one of the famous, if not the most famous speech in the country. And Kennedy uses the line, ask not what your country can do for you, which is still one of the most famous quotes today. And Reagan uses a lot of imagery and figurative language, especially at the end when he says the astronauts touched the face of God, which makes the speech emotional without being overly dramatic. And lastly, the delivery styles are also really different. King speaks with a lot of passion and energy. You can tell he wants to be speaking on it, he's built up the courage to talk about this. And you can tell he wants people to feel inspired by what he's saying. Kennedy sounds more confident and serious, like a leader trying to motivate the country, like he wants this to happen. Reagan speaks more calmly and softly, obviously, because it's about a disaster, because he's trying to comfort the people after a tragedy. And even though the speeches are about different topics, I think they all do a great job of connecting with their audience and leaving people with a message they'll remember.